Okay. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank you, George, that we have been collaborated on this event last 3 years. And this is a happy moment as well for us because this is the first time after the pandemic that we are on the stage, not on virtual. And actually, this is interesting that George, we've been collaborating and we have meetings so many times. So it's like every 2 weeks, but we actually met yesterday. This is our reality, and I know that it happens in many events right now, but we are happy to be back on real life, to be on site. So, and yeah, we are here representing APWG, Anti-Phishing Working Group. Also, I would like to straight away mention that also be a anti-phishing working group, but we don't only do phishing, because we started when it was booming phishing 2003, but we right now we do very different and various schemes of the reports and work. So today we are going to speak about the current trends of phishing and what the changes we have seen in last quarter of this year and in general this 2022 year. So well, our main mission of APWG, we want to unify all the cybercrime, not crimes, but fighters. So, and with the as we are non-for-profit, we are the main purpose of us to unite the industry, law enforcement, academia, and other spheres to fight and to fight against cybercrime. So, well, our main work is based on according to 3 pillars. The main one of the main pillars is data exchange. We have the main mission here to create a trust network of different members and to collect the data and to make this internet environment a cleaner one. We have a clearinghouse for our collaborators, members, and supporters and researchers, and where we create different projects on it, reports, and working together on making this road a cleaner one. So the second pillar is cyber security awareness, cyber education, where we actually promote and the best practices and the how to educate our society, what is cybercrime and how to fight against them, and to be aware of the problem. And the third pillar is research. My colleague, I would like here to mention that we'll have a workshop. You'll have a workshop, and he will present our research process that we have. So please join afterwards, and this afternoon our workshop. And here and the research, we actually create different projects and participate in European funds to create a project to work together with different partners, different European organizations like the European Commission, the Council of Europe, Europol, Interpol, and many others. And also organize different cybercrime events, and to in that way also to find collaborators to work together. So basically, the main idea to unify and work together on that, on fighting cybercrime. If you go more in details on data exchange, we have our clearinghouse, which includes the data and information phishing, botnet phishing, malicious IPs, cryptocurrency, and malicious domain. So, and every quarter we create a report based on the data. So it is you can look on our website for this report, and you find a lot of information for that, because a lot of well-known organization also using this, and you can find even NISA posting it in their reports, and we are happy to share with everyone this report with the available information on phishing. So, and here I turn over Foy to my colleague, and he will speak more in details on the report and the last phishing trends that we had last quarter.
Thanks, Zoriana. Good morning, everyone. Pleasure to be here. And as you mentioned, 3 years we've been doing this, and last night was the first time that any of us actually met face to face. We always used to joke in the security industry, because we've been doing this, like we said, for 20 years now, that it's hard to trust anybody until I've sat down and had a beer with them. In this new world, we've had to establish new ways to do this, but it's quite an honor to be here. We were talking, my first time out of the basement in 32 months. It's nice to be out in the world again. And quite a pleasure to be back here in the Netherlands, where I actually started my international adventure back in '94. I was based here with Lotus Development. Maybe some of you are old enough to remember that little organization that started a lot of what we do today. As Zoriana mentioned, the E-Crime Exchange, we collect a lot of threat data. We will go into detail this afternoon during our workshop, where I'll go through the different modules, and we'll talk a little more in depth about what takes place there. If you aren't able to join us there, we'll just say briefly that the E-Crime Exchange is a closed sharing environment. Our members share threat data, and that data is then used in different applications globally to protect end users. One of the good things about what we do is that our goal is to get verified, vetted information out into the community to protect as many users as we can, as quickly as we can. Unfortunately, the way the internet and the DNS is designed, and the way ICANN has set up the parameters we operate under, we may know a site is malicious. We may know that they're taking money from individuals, but it will take hours, days, weeks to get that site removed from the DNS. Our solution is to block those sites in the meantime. And that's what APWG does with our data sharing. And we'll go into more, like I said, more in depth this afternoon about that. Right now, we're going to talk a little bit about our trends report. So we started the trends report in 2004. APWG was founded in 2003 with about 15, 16 banks trying to focus on this new threat called phishing. It originated, as many of us know, on AOL way back in the day. And it had been moving into the internet, the more global area. From that, we started collecting information. Originally reported out monthly, now we do it quarterly. And this is a collaborative effort. The APWG organization is extremely small. There are about 6 or 7 of us that do this mostly full time. But we work with our member group. We have several hundred organizations that work with us, and they provide the information and the knowledge that I do not have to analyze this data. So this year, the latest report we just reported was for Q2 of this year. Some of the highlights here that we'll talk about briefly, I'll go through some graphs to highlight them, but A lot of it is common sense. We just put some of the numbers to it. Second quarter of this year, we hit new milestones, over 1 million phishing attacks reported. And these are unique attacks that you'll see. So yeah, worst quarter we've ever seen. Everyone knows BEC, business email compromise. So this is where they try to get the CEO email, try to fraud you into transferring a lot of money somewhere and then take it before you can figure out what's going on. The average attack is now hit where the request was $109 million, 109,000 as opposed to 90,000. So just continues to grow and continues to grow. One thing that we are seeing is a focus more on your mid-level companies instead of the really, really big ones. A lot of those organizations don't have the resources to focus on these type or the education needed to keep our end users from being scammed. That's the word we want to use. And so we've seen a little shift there. Like I said, the full report is posted. You can read that and get more detail. Ransomware, we all know ransomware is terrible. Takes our data, locks up our machines. We can't operate. We've seen a shift in focus on targets in Q2, an increase in healthcare and transportation industries. The healthcare is the one that, it's right up there with education. I just, I like to think I was just raised differently, I guess, from the way a lot of these scammers are. The idea of locking up information for hundreds of individuals that are in a hospital and threatening their lives, I don't know how can you do that? But apparently they don't care. Money's more important. So here we go. And it seems like, yeah, if you've locked up a hospital, you're probably going to get your money pretty rapidly. Hopefully you've got insurance. Social media. This is the big platform we're seeing a lot of movement to. And the next one we see is a lot of focus on mobile devices. As the internet has evolved, everyone's on social media now. Everybody's got a TikTok account and somebody's watching everything you do. So this is where the scammers are going to focus, obviously, because this is where the people are. Fake accounts. Received a new invite from my mother last night to follow her. I'm pretty sure it didn't come from her. Since we've been friends on Facebook since I rejoined Facebook last year. So pretty sure that's a fake one. Had another friend I got one from just a few days ago. So the scammers, obviously, they go out. All these pictures are out here. It's really easy for me to pick somebody and figure out your name, your family in a matter of minutes and create a fake account. All I need is a couple of people to join it. And in a few days, I send a request. Oh my God, I'm out of gas. I don't have any money. Can you cash at me $25? Oh no, car's actually broke down. I need a couple of $100. And then by the time you figure it out, I've gotten a few $100s out of you and I'm gone. Thank you very much. And obviously, like we say, the mobile devices, we do everything on our phones now. Your whole life is walking around in your palm. If I can get into that device, I'm doing very well. So here we'll walk through some slides. I think I've already covered what I was going to talk about anyway. So phishing attacks just continue to grow. And statistically, if you figure these numbers out, obviously there are more people, more individuals on the internet, so you would expect some increase, but statistically the number is increasing faster than people are joining the platforms. Brands stays pretty steady. You see an increase in brands, but they tend to go back to the ones everybody knows. So you'll see your Microsoft, you see your Amazon, these big companies that everybody has an account with already. That's where they're going to focus a lot of their efforts on. Most targeted industries, FIs, is always at the top of the list. Where we've seen the big increases in social media, a lot of going on there with the focus of the scammers going more toward the social media platforms. Ransomware industries, like you mentioned, the big increase we've seen is in healthcare and transportation. but they go after everybody. Obviously, anywhere they can get a hold and make some money. Free webmail. Goodness gracious, this is where they live, the DEC attacks. They open an account, who doesn't have a Gmail account? Or at least 2, 3. And then malware deliveries. Oh my goodness, this kind of shows you some of the main bots that we see, but their ability to get these delivered into the corporate email boxes is key to their success. So obviously they're focusing in that area. And then the social media threats. So we see the different threat types that we do track with our members. Cyber threat, they're getting in some type of malware, leak of data, stealing our organizations or our friends and their information, basic fraud. But the big one here is I was just talking about impersonations. Creating fake accounts that look like somebody I know or somebody I used to go to school with. And once they get in there, then they get into your contacts. And next thing we know, your mom's calling you, and what do you mean you need money? Thank you very much. That's it for now. Like I said, this afternoon, we're going to go through a workshop and we will go into much more depth around the organization and what we do primarily around the data sharing platforms. You can always get a hold of us here. Just go to APWG.org. My contact information is everywhere. And we are hosting our big e-crime research event November 30th, 1st and 2nd. This will be our last totally virtual event. This is where we, like I said, we'll talk a little more this afternoon, but we've been publishing research papers focused on cybercrime since 2006. I need to go count again. The last count I did, we had a little over 150 cybercrime related research papers that we had published through the APWG. These papers are being used to make companies create new platforms to target cybercrime. So hopefully you can join us for that. And next year we'll actually do the networking part and get everybody together again for our 20th anniversary. So hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Foy. Any questions to APWG? I think we have one from the chat, Max. Foy, the question from the chat group is, do you have stats about how long it takes from a registrar to take down a suspicious domain name?
We do have those stats. I do not have it in my head. It's a heck of a lot longer than you want. The problem we see again is, yes, there are quite a few registrars that are very reactive and they respond quickly to investigate these. Unfortunately, the criminals don't use them. The criminals use the ones that will respond with, oh, let me see your paper from the judge that says I need to look at this. And then they will say, okay, well, we're going to investigate it and we'll get back to you. And by the time you get information back, the criminals have obviously already moved to a new domain. So we can get you those numbers. I'll request it, but yes, I don't keep those in my head.
Sure. Okay, excellent. Yes, Jamina.
Hiya. Just a question about that last graph that you showed us.
Would you mind standing up
Yes,
and maybe
certainly.
briefly introduce yourself?
So, Jemima Murray, I'm from the Home Office in the UK, so with the government. So the last graph you showed us, the forward line went down and the impersonation line went up again. But I was thinking that the point of those impersonations is probably to commit
fraud. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the question is looking at the last graph and where we've seen a shift and where impersonations are going up, fraud is going down. Yeah, impersonations is fraud. We're just trying to kind of put them in little buckets so we can better digest the data and try to, when we get to the education side, how to educate people and what we need to be talking about. So right now, I would say really focus on, hey, do you really know that person when you get a request and go, look, wait a minute, aren't I already friends with that person? Why are they asking again? We need to make sure our community knows that. So that's kind of why we break those up into little buckets. Anyone else?
Yes, please, would you mind standing up? Yes, very loud.
Yes.
Good to see you again.
Yeah.
You mentioned about domain takedowns, that sort of stuff. We know that that's a problem. Any ideas to resolution? How does one start? Yeah, pull that one day.
I have some really good resolutions. We have tried several times to create a system to report and remove names from the DNS. Really what we need is ICANN to stand up and support such a movement. Until the policies that the registries and registrars work under require them to monitor and take domains off the DNS once they are proven to be malicious, we're not going to be able to fix the problem.
A follow-up question, if I may. How likely is it, in your opinion, that ICANN will address those issues?
I am not very optimistic.
Thank you.
There was another question. Thank you very much, Simon. There was another question from Jack. Could you please stand up and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Jack Whittaker from the University of Surrey. And just out of curiosity, what percentage of phishing domains now use SSL certificates? And do you think that law enforcement and bodies that issue internet safety advice are keeping up to date with the latest trends, or is that advice now redundant in respect?
Would you mind repeating the question?
Yes, so the question goes back to SSL and certificates that show that the site you're currently communicating with is the site you think you're communicating with. And whether or not, correct me if I get it wrong, that our recommendations are outdated, maybe. The percentage, the last I saw, was huge. It was like 80+% of your malicious sites are using SSL. Do you know the number? Yes. Yes. Yeah.
That was because I'm quite interested in whether, I see a lot of chat for SSLs.
Yes. Yeah, I think the problem is educating the end users. They see the SSL certificate and they think they're secure. They don't understand that that is strictly saying that the connection between me and you is intact and secure. That doesn't mean the site you're connecting to is secure and legitimate. So I know we tried to get away from everybody putting the little lock up there. Oh, look, we have a little green lock. I must be okay. No, that's not what it means. So that's an education issue. So we do need to be better at informing and how we present that information to end users. SSL is important. It is a good thing to have when you are connecting to a legitimate site. Determining whether or not that site is legitimate is the problem.
I see one last question from Sarah, please.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Sarah from Site 4 in Market. It's not a question, simply to tell you that someone asked about the number. I can tell you that investigated in the last couple of weeks 300 domain names connected with phishing URLs, and I found that 75% of them they have the SSL certification.
Yeah.
But also, what I found is that when those scammers they tried to send this phishing URL, what they did was actually they set up SPF and team, which are
Yeah.
obviously they knew that in order to use those IPs and it's stop SPF because of one was meant to be delivered and one also to read info. So they're familiar that how deliverability works out there. They're familiar that how I can affect everyone. And it's not only that you can set up demand in order to protect your domain name, but we also need to find other mechanisms to protect domain name.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the criminals are very smart.
As well.
Yes. And they've decided to use malicious ways to make their money, and they will figure out ways around pretty much everything we come up with shortly after we come up with it. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't keep trying.